We have one string through left of deck profiles for everything we had left on the back burner. Outside of this, I'll be taking submissions. If you guys got interesting stuff, send it on over and I'll see what we can do about squeezing it on in there. So, we have Nekroz today. So we have one copy of Archlord Christia, triple copies of Zaborg, the Mega Monarch, two copies of Talis Mandara, one copy of the Bookstore, triple copies of Manju of 10,000 Hands, two copies of Incantation Candle, two copies of Shrit, two copies of the Pencil Plume, with the one Decisive Armor, two Trishula, one Galaxy Ice Chaos Max Dragon. This is a very interesting tech choice in here, actually, but interesting enough, you just beam it off of this guy and you can bring it on out. We have two copies of Valkyrius, triple copies of the Chalice Slime, triple copies of Nekroz of Brionic, one copy of the Ben 10, one Unicorn, two copies of Colossus, and then we have one reinforcement of the army, triple copies of Preparation of Rites, two Nekroz Amir, two Nekroz Kaleidoscope, one Incantation Inception, two copies of Nekroz Cycle, and triple copies of Called by the Grave. Down in the extra deck, we have one copy of Underclock Taker, one Miss Starboy, one Borlo Dragon, one Dugress the Timeless, one Gagaga Cowboy, one Abyss Dweller, one Exiton Knight, one Diamond Dire Wolf, one Casto, one Ragna Zero, triple copies of Herald of the Arclight, one Omega, and one Ints. Side deck here we have triple copies of Sphere Mode, one copy of Pankratops, two copies of Denko Sekka, triple copies of Dark Ruler No More, triple copies of Evenly Matched, and we have triple copies of White Howling. Actually, I haven't seen this card see any play in quite a while, but if you control a water monster, target one spell in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, the rest of this turn negate all spell effects on your opponent's field. Well, water. I mean, you should, Colossus is even one. Like, you should have no problem, being able to deploy this, especially in Nekroz, of all things. Like, let's be honest here. But interesting tech nonetheless. So yeah, Nekroz, we've been seeing a lot of diversity between the builds. I think the only other build that we've seen so far to date was the Herald of Perfection build. But we'll have to wait and see in the future if Nekroz continues to be a good deck or if it's just going to fall to the wayside. Alright, next up, we have Unga Bunga True Draco. Now, this deck is playing some of the oldest stuff I've seen in a while, packing in Amano Iwado for just your beautiful stall power. You got Mystic Mine backing this thing up even more, stalling out your opponent. And then you've got Waking the Dragon targets, like 5,000 attack, by the way. Once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap effect, you can negate that activation if you destroy that card. If you flower a card, your monster control battles opponent's monster, that opponent's monster has its effects negated during battle phase only. If this face-up sync or summon card leaves field destroyed, yeah, that part doesn't matter. But 5,000 attack. Imagine just deploying this off of, you're Waking the Dragon, your opponent just stares at you and goes, uh-oh, I can't out that. So, we have one copy of Dynamite. We have triple copies of Ignis Heat, one copy of Majesty Maiden, triple copies of Amano Iwado, wrapping up your monster line. Tell me, when was the last time that you saw Amano Iwado doing something? We have triple copies of Pot of Desires, one copy of Card of Demise, one Upstart Goblin, one Terraforming, triple copies of Pot of Duality, two Cosmic Cyclone, two Forbidden Chalice, triple copies of True Draco Heritage, triple copies of the Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix, one Dragonic Diagram, and triple copies of Mystic Mine. Then we have triple copies of Evenly Matched, one copy of Metaverse, one True King's Return, triple copies of Apocalypse, and one copy of Imperial Order, wrapping up the main deck here. Down here in the extra deck, we have one Nightmare Cerberus, one Nightmare Phoenix, one Boral Sword Dragon, one Borreload Dragon, one Utopia. This card serves no purpose. We have one Freezer Dawn, one Volcasaurus, one Utopia Lightning, one copy of Lancer, with Guided Charger and Ultimate Falcon, one OTK Machine, one The Last Wayman of the Planet, and we have one Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon and one Exterio. Side deck here we have triple copies of Seer Mode, triple copies of Inspector Border, 2 copies of Waking the Dragon, 2 copies of Dimensional Barrier, 2 copies of TC Boo, and we have triple copies of Solemn Judgment, wrapping up your Unga Bunga True Draco experience. Next up, we have the last zombie deck that has actually taken a spot and succeeded and actually got the chance to do something. So, shout out to zombies. You guys, for some reason, you're still able to do something. You're still a topping out there, and it's very nice to see this. So I have 2 copies of Doom King Boulderdrock, 2 copies of the Vampire Fraulein, triple copies of Mothman, 2 copies of Necro Banshee, 2 Gozuki, 1 Mizuki, 1 Spirit Master, triple copies of Solitaire, triple copies of Uni-Zombie, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, with triple copies of the Ghost Ogre, and 2 copies of Glow Bloom. I'm actually wondering, like, going forward, how much of an impact Ghost Ogre, of all things, might actually see in the near future here, because this card is very good in certain matchups. In other matchups, it's a pile of dog poop. Alright, so I guess, like, for its appropriate matchups and things like that, this did everything that it really needed to do, and I can't complain about that. Like, that's very straightforward. We have 1 for 1 copy of Foolish Burial, 1 Monster Reborn, triple copies of Super Polymerization, triple copies of Zombie World, with 2 copies of the Shiranui style Swallow Slash, and then we have triple copies of Rivalry of the Warlords. Literally, this in Zombie World creating the dumbest soft lock in the game's history is ridiculous. Down here in the next check, we have 1 Link Kribo, 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, 1 Avendread Savior, 2 copies of Vampire Sucky. We have 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Decode Talker, 1 Boral Sword Dragon OTK-kun, 1 copy of Baguski, 1 Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon, 1 Omega, 1 Shogun Saga, with the 1 Starving Venom and the 2 copies of the Dragon Necro Nether Soul. Side deck here we have 1 Scythe, triple Dark Hole, triple Called by the Grave, 2 Twin Twisters, triple copies of Artifact Sanctum, and triple copies of Eradicator Epidemic Virus, wrapping up your last zombie deck to actually do something. Now, zombies pretty much do what they do, and we got to give a lot of the contributing factors to this deck being so good because of Zombie World with Revelry of the Warlord. Like, one of the dumbest soft locks that this game actually has going for it to date. Now, last deck that we have here, we have Pendulums. This was something that was brought to my attention. Just dropped in my inbox, was like, hey, I've done relatively well with this. This is kind of what's going on in the world right now with Pendulum. I'm like, alright, cool. So we have triple copies of Master Cerberus, triple copies of Endymion, the mighty master of magic. We have triple copies of Reflection of Endymion. We have 1 copy of Destrudo, 1 copy of the Gate Zero, triple copies of the Jackal King, with 1 copy of the Amorphage Sloth, triple copies of Chronograph Sorcerer, with the 2 copies of Darkworm, 1 copy of the Basilic, 2 copies of Adductor, 1 Garuda, 2 copies of Magister of Endymion, with 1 Time Gazer, 1 copy of the Poor Servant of Endymion, and the 1 copy of the Spellbook Turbo Power draw card. Then we have triple even better draw cards, 1 copy of Knowledge, 2 copies of Desires, triple copies of Spellbook Power Mastery, 2 copies of Dragon Shrine, 1 Upstart Goblin, 1 Terraforming, 2 copies of the Spellbook of Secrets, with triple copies of Mythical Institution, and 2 copies of Magical Citadel, wrapping up the main deck here. Down here in the next deck, we have 1 copy of Alpi, 1 copy of the Heavenly Spheres, 1 Beat Cup, 1 Crowley, 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Triple Burst, 1 Saruja, 1 copy of Boral Sword OTK-kun, 1 Borreload, 1 copy of Avermax, 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Absolute Dragon, 1 Phaedon Dragster, 1 Meteor Burst, and 1 copy of Yadai's Vortex Dragon. Side deck here we have triple copies of Seer Mode, 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird, 2 copies of Mind Control, 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 1 Set Rotation, 1 Necro Valley, 1 Secret Village of Spellcasters, and we have triple copies of Evenly Matched, wrapping up your last set of deck profiles. If there's anything else that's kind of squeaked on out that you guys want to share, please feel free to DM them into my inbox at Facebook, Robbie Cole, MCole40, whichever you want. And, well, guys, I know it's a dark time out there, but stay safe, and I'm out, guys. Peace. the ride never truly ends. Thank you, patrons, for helping support the channel. Without you guys, I don't know if I'd still be doing this. And for those of you that like Cardfight Vanguard, FanCool40 is here for all your content needs. And those of you asking if I sell cards, mcoolgames.com for all your trading card game needs. Check the description for more interesting info. Thanks for watching, guys.